This is the priority. Liberation Day of America wiped out decades-old American trade policy. That's the doomsday scenario. Nothing runs. Not your phone, not your car, not your TV, a new type of weapon that never used before. It's about national security. We are basically non-existent in shipbuilding economy. We need to actually wake up before we shoot ourselves in the foot. Tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. In the last week, you've heard those words probably more than ever before. On April 2nd, President Trump announced so-called Liberation Day of America, introducing enormous tariffs for different countries. Friend or foe, every trading partner got hit by new tariffs. The change wiped out decades-old American trade policy on free trade across the world. Businesses panicked. Markets sold off. There has been so much uncertainty. The volatility went insane. Until recently, tariffs have been put on pause. After brutal sell-off in the markets, treasuries, bonds, and equities, President Trump finally put a 90-day pause on tariffs. The only country that didn't survive it is China. China still is hit by tariffs, which can go as high as 145%. There has been so much buzz about bringing manufacturing back to America, but not so simple. The trade policy that we have currently has been built across decades, and it's going to take so much time to bring manufacturing back to America. American economy is so much interconnected with the global world that it's going to be so hard to bring manufacturing back here. But I do believe that America actually has a big shot to become American manufacturing powerhouse. But that manufacturing is not what you think. In this video, I'm gonna discuss which products must be built in America and why. And those are not Nike shoes or iPhones. So let's dive in. Industry number one that has to be moved to America is semiconductors, or also known as chips. Do you remember the shortage of cars during the pandemic? I'm sure you heard from the car salesman that we can't bring any cars here because of chips. Do you remember that? Well, the reason to that is because all chips were built overseas. South Korea, Japan, China, Taiwan are the places where most of the chips are being built every day. And the shortage of those chips definitely influences everything what we have and see here. During the pandemic, those countries had lockdowns that led to the halts of the manufacturing of chips at the factories, which eventually led to shortages of cars in the United States. Chips are the foundation of technological society. They're used in everyday life. This camera that I'm looking at, this microphone, your mobile phone, computer, car, everything has the chip in it. Even your appliances in the kitchen. If there are no chips, you can't live your life as you get used to it. Disruption in chip manufacturing can lead to the halt of the whole economic sector, like what we have experienced with the cars during the pandemic. This is why chips are not only the luxury of day-to-day life, they are the national security issue. That's why we need to make sure that we bring chips manufacturing to American soil as soon as possible. This is the priority. The issue is moving manufacturing of chips from Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea to America not going to be that easy. It will require enormous incentives from the government, as well as incentives into education, because people who will work at those manufacturing plants must be educated and have the skills to be working at those factory lines. It's very important to have the skilled labor to be able to operate those factories in American soil. Otherwise, building a building not going to do any good. Especially now with the growth of AI going exponentially, demand for the chips going to be even going higher. And we need to make sure that the supply chains are not disrupted in this important technology of the future. That's why manufacturing must be here, but it will require a lot of work. If you're interested to learn more about the chips manufacturing, check my podcast with a prominent CEO of a US-based chip company with a link in description below. The next product that needs to be immediately built in America is drones. Yes, correct. Drones. You heard me correctly. Drones are the backbone of national security, and here's why. After brutal Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Ukrainian people had to innovate due to lack of weaponry and personnel. That's why they basically invented a new type of weapon that never used before, FPV drones, armed with grenades and other type of explosives. That type of innovation helped Ukraine to fight a way larger enemy, such as Russia. And that definitely changed the whole military doctrine forever. So if the United States is serious about confronting Russia, China, and Iran, it definitely needs to be investing money into drone manufacturing in America. China has been dominating the drone manufacturing for decades, and their technological progress is so high that it's going to take America years to catch up. We need to make sure we focus on that really fast, because all the military-industrial complex not going to keep up. We cannot fight the wars of 20th century in 21st century. And if we take the threat seriously, this is the place to be. We need to be investing into drone manufacturing. Drone manufacturing cannot be done overnight. United States needs to incentivize the technological growth here. We need to provide more loans, more investments into this industry, and open up for more startups, because there are so many different companies that would like to do this, but it's very highly capital intensive. For example, recently, Anduril, a tech defense startup from Silicon Valley, announced they're going to build a major manufacturing facility in Ohio. They're going to commit over $1 billion in investment, as well as create 4,000 jobs. We need more of that. We definitely need to create more factories like that in the Midwest and other states of the United States of America. If you ever operated a drone, I would like you to check what company do you use. I bet that's DJI. DJI is a Chinese manufacturing company of drones. They're massive. I think they build millions of drones a year, and millions of drones a year can change everything in today's warfare. So if we're taking our national security seriously, we need to focus on manufacturing drones in the United States. The next industry that needs to be moved to the United States is shipbuilding. Yes, we need to start building ships in America. And not only because it's patriotic, because it's a national security issue again. Right now, most commercial shipbuilding is overseas. It is in China, Japan, and South Korea. This puts us in very vulnerable spot. Ships are very critical for global trade, military, and national security. If America cannot build and maintain its own commercial vessels, we gonna lose control over key supply chains in trade and military and national security. It's very critical for us. It's very important to focus on shipbuilding now. It's not only about jobs, it's about national security, safety, and staying competitive in the world. So look at this now. We have put enormous tariffs on China. Now we need to substitute that gap of trade in the world. What are we gonna do? We're gonna have to start exporting more goods out of the United States. And what are we gonna export it with? We don't have ships, so we need to start building ships immediately. Let's pause here for a second. Guess how many ships America builds a year? But I'm very curious what your answer is. Please leave it in the comment below. Consider this. In 2023, China built 1,000 ocean-ready vessels, while America built only 10. This shows a drastic disparity in shipbuilding capabilities between the United States and China. China's shipbuilding capabilities is estimated to be 230 times higher than of the US. We are basically non-existent in shipbuilding economy. If we are getting prepared to have a trade war with China, we need to understand that China accounts for 50% of all shipbuilding in the world. Thus, they control half of the trade of the world. We only influence less than 1% of the shipbuilding, and that's a huge problem. That's why I think it's so important to get focused on proper industries that needs to be moved here. Our manufacturing has to be precise. We need to be very strategic about what things have to be moved here and what things could be still made outside of the country. The next industry I think that needs to be moved to the United States shores is data center and electrical grid infrastructure manufacturing. Let me explain you why. Data centers are becoming more critical in our life. You for sure heard about AI revolution. AI gonna be in every industry you touch. It's gonna be used at your work, it's gonna be used at healthcare, anywhere you're gonna go will be powered by AI. What does that mean? That means that AI has to be powered by something. That something is data center infrastructure that must be built here in the United States. Moreover, the infrastructure that powers those data centers needs to be built in America as well. Without digital and electrical infrastructure, we can face digital and physical electrical blackouts, which can make our life miserable. We're talking about power grids, transformers, substations, something we don't even think about when we flip a switch when we come home from work. But that part is an integral part of our economy and our daily life. electrical infrastructure is so fragile, especially with this huge demand of data centers that we can see incoming to the country. Take this for example. 80% of the all large transformers that are powering electrical grid in the United States are sourced from overseas. That's unthinkable. That's a backbone of the whole economy. You will not have even lights if there is no transformer. That is not an off-shelf product. You cannot buy it whenever you want. It takes 18 to 24 months to build the new transformer, and it uses aluminum, copper, and other materials that we lack of in this country. The most important issue that we do export that stuff from adversary countries such as China. China is the massive manufacturer of electrical infrastructure, and most of that electrical infrastructure that we import comes from China. And that is unthinkable. I think the tariff idea that we have may actually make sense, but at the same time, we have to incentivize production of manufacturing of new transformers and electrical infrastructure in America before we shoot ourselves in the foot. Imagine the situation that China gonna put restrictions on exports of electrical transformers to the United States. That's gonna put a halt on the whole development of data centers in America. It's gonna make the production of new facilities in the country more expensive. And the other issue, we have nothing to substitute with. That's even bigger problem. If we want to be on the forefront of a technological progress, we need to make sure that data centers are built here and electrical infrastructure to power them is also built here. If electrical infrastructure and digital infrastructure are disrupted, nothing runs. Not your phone, not your car, not your TV, not your computer. That's the doomsday scenario. And that scenario is so easy to achieve by crippling the exports of electrical infrastructure to America. We need to actually wake up and make sure that we are ahead of that. What I think is the next step? The next step is to make sure that we incentivize production and manufacturing of electrical infrastructure in America across the whole country. We have to be robust, resilient, and making sure that we are in control. So let's sum it up. The tariff shock is here. It's going to take a little bit of time for us to comprehend what is actually going to happen. It's going to take time to realize what tariffs are going to do for us, how they're going to influence our day-to-day life, what they're going to do to inflation, and if they're going to influence our money in the pocket. But reality is that some of the manufacturing definitely must be moved here. If the intent of tariffs was to move some manufacturing here, I want to make sure that we focus on these industries, which are chips, ship manufacturing, drones, and data center and electrical infrastructure manufacturing. Those are the industries that must be built here the first thing. Those are the priority. I really do not care about Nike shoes or t-shirts at this point, but those industries are the backbone of the future of this country and its prosperity. Which industry do you think needs to move manufacturing to America first? And I wonder, which state? Please leave the comment below. If you like this video, please subscribe. My name is Sergii Gerasymovych. I'm a serial entrepreneur, CEO and co-founder of Easy Blockchain, and I'll see you in the next video.